Hey everybody, it's Ann BB. Today is Sunday, September 30th, 2018, the last day of September, and it's around noon. I'm still at my hostel. I'm going to spend one more night here. It's really a very, very, very rainy day. This is kind of like typical autumn weather in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And I'm just going to stay, I think, at the hostel most of the day. I might go out and get a nice meal to go. And I'm just showing you around the hostel. I don't really want to show people's faces, so I'll aim this down. There's some people checking in. And people, there's the sign in the lobby here. There's the check-in area. And I'll just show you around a little bit. It's not a bad hostel. It's not the best I've stayed at. It's not the worst. It's not too bad. So there's a little patio garden area out here. Very, very rainy day. And I'll go back in here and look around. Oh, I've got to get my card out to go into this area. Oops, oh, somebody coming out. Perfect timing. I didn't need my card to get into the area, so there's some vending machines here. And a hallway here. So that's the doorway to the lobby. And I'm going to go into the breakfast area. So there's a kitchen, communal kitchen. And so that's where you get like mugs for coffee in the morning. It's a really big kitchen. Big kitchen. Big kitchen. And this is the breakfast room, where I go in the morning, and also I often will hang out here in the evening at the end of the day, because the Wi-Fi is stronger down here than on the 4th floor where I am. And so this is the breakfast room. Very busy in the morning. And then I think they actually have another room here if that fills up. This is kind of a nice quiet room. I like this room. Yeah. And so the lobby had a TV there. Some of these hostels have a special TV room. Oh, and there's a computer here, I guess the residents can use if they need it. And okay, going down the hall, and here's the other entrance to the kitchen. There's another shot of kitchen, nice big kitchen there. Yeah, so people, if they're staying here for a while to save money, they will buy food at a local market and cook it themselves in the kitchen, prepare it themselves. So this is what it's looking. This is an alley, I guess, the back or the side of the hostel. So you'll see these little, like that's a residence there. I can see a number. And people often will take these alley like garages and convert them into another residence to rent out. Yeah, I think normally they rent it out. It's like extra income, or I don't know. That's what I think. So it's a really great day. I'm sorry, the light's not great. That's just the way it is. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to go upstairs now. I'm on the top floor. So we're going up. to the 4th floor. And I'll show you the view from the top floor. And here we go. There's somebody behind me. Right on my toe. Yeah. And, okay. So here's the same view, the same direction, but from the 4th floor. So you can look out a bit on Vancouver here. Very gray day. Typical autumn day, actually, in Vancouver. And so there's the women's bathroom, shower, and that's what a hallway looks like. And that's it for now. Oh, I'm sorry, I did forget to tell my story about last evening at the Green Party convention. So I was at the banquet, and the Green Party of Canada leader, Elizabeth May, who's originally from the U.S., was giving her speech. And I think I talked about her in another video, but I don't think that video turned out. So I'll give you a little history about Elizabeth May. She is originally from New England, I think Connecticut, and she brags that an ancestor signed the Declaration of Independence. Now, I don't know who that was. And so when she was a teenager, her family moved to Nova Scotia, and they had a small business that struggled. I can't remember if it was like a restaurant, gift shop, or a combination. So she didn't go to college, really. She couldn't really afford to, or something. I forget what it was. She went straight. This is something I wasn't familiar with until recently. She went straight into law school. You can do that some places. And Bill Clinton actually wrote her letter of recommendation for law school because he was a family friend. I think Elizabeth May and her mother were sort of politically active and became familiar with Bill Clinton, and he became familiar with them way back. And so she still brags that Bill Clinton is a family friend. Another thing, so she also was, so Bill Clinton is like a serial sex offender / rapist. And Elizabeth May also defended another sex offender, serial sex offender, a rapist, Jean Ghomeshi, who was a Canadian Broadcasting Corporation announcer, very well known, very prominent. Well, mainly on the radio, but on TV some too. Anyway, there's a big scandal, and she was defending him at first against these accusations. And then she had to sort of backtrack. And then the other thing is, recently she was accused of basically being a workplace bully, a bully boss, and harassing a couple of members of the staff. Well, two of her staff accused her of workplace harassment. And there was kind of whitewashed investigation, as there normally is. And so she was technically cleared, but that's normally how, if it's like, I call her the sacred cow of the Green Party of Canada. And now I call her the Green Goddess. So anyway, she was giving her speech at the banquet last evening at the convention. And she starts going into this fear-mongering about the rise of the alt-right. And I've heard this before from her. And I cupped my hands to my mouth, and I said, bullshit, loudly. She continued with her speech, but the response from the party staff was really an overreaction. They acted as though I had pulled out a gun at the banquet. They descended upon me and said, okay, you're out of here. And I said, no, I'm just sitting here. And I said, I got a right to listen to her speech, and, I heard some bullshit, so I said, bullshit. And they said, we're going to call the cops. And I said, go right ahead, go right ahead. And I think there must have been like a dozen people eventually that were surrounding me, on both sides and behind me. And at one point, they made such a fuss. They actually are the ones who disrupted her speech. So she stopped her speech, and she comes around and she starts talking to me. And yeah, it was interesting. I told her that it was a populist. There's a rise of populism, and people just kind of throw this term alt-right around to smear any dissent, in my opinion. And so I kind of mentioned the 2016 election, and she said, oh, but Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 3 million. And I said, no, there was election fraud, and Donald Trump actually won a landslide. And she just kind of turned away in disgust. And her assistant was on the other side of me, and I think before that, I don't know, it was all very confusing. Suddenly I was just the center of attention. People were staring. So her assistant, or she identified herself as her assistant, said Elizabeth May would like to meet with me to sort this out. And I didn't get a chance to answer. I was kind of startled by the whole response. Overreaction, really. Anyway, so the party staff had gotten the hotel security, and they came and they said, okay, you're out of here. And I said, no, I'm just sitting here. And I was getting along fine with the people sitting at my table. We had a nice meal and chat. They suddenly turned on me, and they just were really hostile to me. And so the hotel security and the party staff, they just started grabbing me, and they grabbed my things. And I was just hustled out of there, and I was in the back of the room. And so as soon as I was outside in the hallway, one of the young female party staffers or volunteers starts pushing me. I said, get your fucking hands off me. That's assault. And she was just, they were nasty. I mean, complete overreaction. They're the ones who created the scene, not I. And so I watched, it was actually being recorded on Facebook, Elizabeth May's speech, and I watched some of it, that part. And so I could see, you could barely hear me. I'm in the back of the room, you barely hear me. And she just continues with her speech, that's fine. And then and the reason she stopped, she said, oh, there's someone who's upset in the back of the room. So I wasn't upset, I was being harassed. And so you can see that she stops the speech, and then she goes back, and then she's very dismissive, and she said, oh, the person was upset because I said alt-right rather than populist or something. And she just very dismissive said, oh, it's a heckler, I learned not to heckle in Parliament, I'm able to restrain myself or something like that. Very condescending. So when I got out in the hallway there, I said, I started calling the Green Party the Fascist Party of Canada. They wanted me trying to hustle me out of there, and I said, hey, and make sure I got all my belongings, and I packed up my stuff, put on my rain jacket because it was raining out, and I left. That was disgusting. So the Green Party, they are not any different from any of the other parties. In some ways, they're more narrow-minded, I would say. very narrow-minded, and they are clinging to their sacred cow, Elizabeth May, and she needs to go, really. I mean, she's disgusting. She started out, she was the environment advisor for actually a Conservative Party official, and that's how she got her start. And I think she used to work with the Sierra Club. The Sierra Club is known to have been co-opted. Like, I think the fossil fuel industry, oil industry is, funding them. So they're not what you think they are. So Elizabeth May just preaches all this corporate bullshit about climate change and carbon taxes and how we're going to have to buckle down. There's a climate crisis. So, that's going to be bad news for ordinary people. She doesn't give a damn about ordinary people who are struggling. Overwhelming majority of people are struggling to get by, and she doesn't give a fuck. So anyway, that's Elizabeth May. That's my story about the convention. I'm going to keep talking about that because I'm disgusted. They don't want any other voices. They just want to hear the same old thing. And if you don't kiss Elizabeth May's ass and worship the ground she walks on, you're out of there. That's what I learned. Okay, that's all for now. I'll talk to you later. Bye.